Committing your life, your practice, your finances, your family, committing everything to God sounds easier than it is. When I first started a company called Body by God, we eventually changed it to Maximize Living because it seemed too exclusive. And that way we can invite everybody in. Unfortunately, that was something that I really kind of lived to regret. And now, thankfully, with C3, we've been back to Christ-centered chiropractic for nearly 8 years. And it really has given me a sort of incandescent joy to come alongside doctors and their families and not only build a great practice, their greatest practice over their careers, but really help to create breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough in their relationship with God, and really just see the power of authority in the kingdom at work in their lives. So where I'd regret it in the past, I'd never, ever leave it now with C3. We really got into many years ago the positive mental attitude books. That was something for chiropractors. If you go back to the 80s, it was really big to read everything that came out on positive mental attitude. But as I went back and got my master's in psychology, you find out that there's enough really limited truth that actually ends up being a lie. And it really can create some problems. It can really kind of drip into being very misleading. For example, the idea that you can create a new habit in 21 days. That was something that, that's taught in the PMA books, and we've taught at seminars ourselves. But when you actually look at the study, the research on that, that's not true. So the first habit that they saw you could create in 21 days was simply that you would drink enough water. But when it came to something tougher, like doing exercise on a regular basis, the research actually ended after a year before anyone ever had actually created this new behavior of exercising regularly. Uh, Another thing I really realized with just understanding the psychology of helping other people was we had always aimed to build these really high volume practices. So I was seeing 2,000 a week, and we try to teach people to see 1,000, 2,000 a week. And you find out there's a psychology of teaching called formatting that really only a very small percentage of people are built with the personality type to actually see huge volume. But we would celebrate the people that would build giant practices. And in fact, the people that weren't of that small percent, it's actually 18% that really were built to do that. So the other, huge percentage, 82%, weren't succeeding in the program. In fact, I remember this one guy, a guy from the Chicago area, got up to seeing 300 a week, which is a killer practice. Like, it's a great practice, but said that when he would come to our events, he would go into a deep, dark depression because he always had the sense that he was failing in practice after coming to our events. And so I saw a lot of burnout from the other groups. And also it's like, why should it be that if somebody just kind of has the ability and personality to see 150, why should they be doomed to fail for their entire career? In fact, if you even suggest to like the typical high volume group out there that somebody at 150 should still be doing great in practice, still have $1 million practice and have a great life, you'll get trolled on Facebook because of that. So, we really have now built a model around how do you help somebody at any volume have a great practice, help a lot of people, make a lot of money. And so the other thing that was really amazing, that big reason I got into psychology and getting my master's in psychology, is communication. I've always been fascinated by communication. 100 new patients walk in. These 10 become these stellar patients. Their whole families come in. They refer hundreds of people, get you in with their church, come to you the rest of their life. And that's, 10 of them. And then there's the next 90 that are some shade of gray of that. So what is it that happens in all their different minds to figure out the best way to create great patients for the purpose of saving their own life and going on to have healthy families that don't deal with unnecessary suffering or early death. And so learned a lot about heuristics, which is really the filtering mechanisms people use to deal with all the data coming their way on a regular basis. So we've learned that people will filter out a lot of what you're saying. They'll filter down a lot of what you're saying, and they'll also filter over. They'll filter into something that's kind of this rule of thumb of what they believe about what you're teaching. One of the other amazing things we learned at psychology school was actually something out of a university in Canada called Waterloo University, where when you get adjusted, and this was kind of neat as we're getting into this psychoneurobiology, that when we talk about when you get adjusted, how it helps the prefrontal cortex. Well, there's research out of this Waterloo University that shows that it's a smaller non-functioning prefrontal cortex that actually leads to poor decisions in life. So when we talk about chiropractic, not just saving your health, but actually changing your life, the reality that we're able to influence the function of the prefrontal cortex has actually been proven outside of chiropractic to be something that can change your eating habits, exercise habits, work habits, how you interact with your family at home, your ability to succeed in life. So really when we say an adjustment can change your life, it's proven in other elements of science, not just chiropractic. And then shifting over to the PhD in business, I went from learning more about mental models now to learning more about business models. And we know that in chiropractic, people tend to get stuck in their echo chambers. We belong to an individual group that has a certain ideology and philosophy, and you just keep talking to the same people and hearing from the same people over and over again. And you never break out into understanding better models, different and better ways to do things. You just get stuck. And, many segments of our profession have been stuck for, over 100 years. You look at the kind of the volume idea, like certainly there's a lot of value in volume. You're helping more people, clearly anybody gets, that's good. Help more people. That's a good thing. But the reality is we created a business model around it that was, lower fees, less focus on function and impact. I mean, it's not the best business model. In fact, it's really quite the poor business model. So we completely re-engineered it, just totally changed it. And, the other thing that I think went away with that model is just being open to other tools that in parallel to chiropractic. It's not chiropractic, but there's other tools out there that help people get better, whether that be nutrition or other tools like a decompression machine or something. That there's other things that could help that in this business model of a lot of straight chiropractors' minds, and that makes you a bad person because you used another tool. But as time has gone on, just even for me personally and my family, we've needed other tools based on damage we've done to ourselves or just things that happen over a lifetime of being a human. So that, that we've got models now that are just better models. As an example, we, now in our clinics that do, we have some, more integrated settings, and we see the sickest of the sick. We had a woman who came in just this last week, a 22-year-old who had been given a ton of steroids for a number of different conditions she was suffering from, and her skin was leaving her body. It was like she had been dipped in boiling oil from head to toe. So she had bandages on all the way up to, her shoulders, then her face. She was embarrassed to leave the house. Like it was really tough for her to come in. She really suffered to go into public, but, we just loved on her and hugged her and just assured her that, we don't care. We just care about her health and her life. And within one treatment with this other service we provided, she was 80-90% better and just has a new lease on life just within the last week. So, I don't think anybody's more emphatic about the sanctity and the purity of chiropractic. I mean, I also this week adjusted a 1-day-old baby. So, we didn't do anything expect the miracle of chiropractic to create a future where this baby can fulfill its destiny, thanks to the fact that it's starting out life with his power on. But, you can have parallel businesses, businesses within your business that operate as verticals, in parallel to the chiropractic, that can add value, that enhance the impact and quality and profitability of your business. Only makes sense.